Good morning, and thanks for joining us again for another episode of JADU Lifestyle, where you get a life and live it. We want to talk a little bit about JADU Lifestyle and how it came about. I am TODDY, and I am originally from Trinidad. When I came here, part of my culture, I'm Indian, so part of my culture, massage is a part of my culture. It's actually, I grew up hearing the word massage. And basically, I experienced massage, but mostly it was abdominal massage. So when I came to this country, I was introduced to a different kind of massage. I was introduced to the actual full body concept of massage. Over the last 22 years, I have been working with clients to help them get rid of their pain. Basically, in my culture, massage was used as a therapeutic method of relieving pain. So it basically was spot work, meaning that wherever you had the pain, they would work on you. So when I came, I got introduced to full body massage. And for the past 22 years, as I said before, I've been doing it. Well, what happened in that 22 years is that I was observing some of the similarities between my clients that came in because they had pain. I remember one particular incident. I always did a consultation, and there's one lady, she had talked to me for like 2 hours. And by the time she got to the table, she had no pain. I had another incident where a client had an abortion, and she felt very guilty about it because she was, her religion didn't allow her to have an abortion. That was considered a sin. She talked to me for a couple hours also, and when we got her on the table, she had not told me about the abortion during the 2 hours of consultation. When we got on the table and I started massaging her abdomen, she started talking about the abortion. So trauma can be stored in the muscle, and when they're touched, they come out. I have had several people who cried on my table or express feelings, hurts, trauma while they're getting worked on. In fact, I get so many stories, I think that a lot of it is more than the psychologist would get. Probably because people feel vulnerable when they're on the table and they they're covered with a sheet, but they're mostly undressed. And you start seeing things coming out from their body that they have stored for years. So over the years, having observed that, I realized that people needed more than just physical touch. The massage industry is actually one of the fastest growing industries in this country right now. And a lot of people are turning to self care. And that is one of the ways that they take care of themselves. But I observed that there were more that is needed. People needed more time to process the information that came out. And so I started looking at ways to help them do that. So one of the first things that came out was the functions of the body, the seven functions of the body. And those functions were created based on the the need by the body or the priority. For instance, the first one is actually perception. Your perception will lead you to, or your belief system will actually lead you to the avenues that you would get for help whenever you are in a traumatic situation or in any type of pain situation. So you will decide where and how you want to get help. So perception is the first thing. The second thing is oxygenation. And why is oxygenation second? It's second because if the body does not have any air at all, it will die in a couple of minutes. So 2 to 3 minutes. So the oxygenation is actually needed. And in today's world, with the many diseases that we are finding that oxygen, hyperbaric chambers play an important part in the cure for cancer or the remission of cancer and cancer cells in the body. The third one is hydration. And again, hydration, we need water in our body is 70% water, about 70% water, and every organ needs hydration to function. In fact, the colon, which eliminates the waste matter from the body, needs water to function. The thing is that if we do not drink enough water, the brain will give the heart most of the water we drink because the heart is considered a vital organ, and therefore the rest of the organs really does not get as much as they need. The second thing about hydration, I just found out this weekend. I was looking at a DVD by Dr. Peter Glidden, and he was talking about gallbladder and gallbladder issues. And he said that one of the reasons that we get gallstones is because of dehydration. That was new information to me, and it was really very exciting information that dehydration is actually a part of the process of stones in our gallbladder. And stones can be very, very painful. In fact, one of the first options or solutions that the medical community gives us is to take the gallbladder out. But the gallbladder is actually very needed, except it can get inflamed to the point where if that stone is stuck in the common bile duct or anywhere else, it can cause excruciating pain, which requires emergency treatment. So that's the third one. The fourth one is actually nutrition or supplementation. If our body does not have enough of the nutrients that it needs, then it will malfunction because nutrients are the ways that we function. Now, one of the other things that he said is that a simple reason for high blood pressure may be because of low magnesium. The arteries have muscles that actually pump the blood. The vein does not. And without enough magnesium, we will not be able to get that blood to go up. So what happens is, just like a hose, when you squeeze it, you get an influx of water, higher pressure. Is the same way the blood pressure works. So it was really interesting to hear that DVD, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along in further episodes. So we've done the fourth one. So the fifth one is actually motion or movement. Now, we need to move internally and we need to move externally. A lot of times when we think about movement, we think about exercise and we think about recreational activities and things like that. But if the body internally does not move, we can actually pass out. Everything needs to be moving constantly. This is involuntary movement. So we have voluntary movement and we have involuntary movement. Voluntary movement is when you make the decision to actually do something. Involuntary movement, you have no part in the actual movement with respect to decision making. For instance, you may be familiar with the doctor tapping your knee with a little hammer and your foot just kicks out. That's called a reflex. And reflex is like involuntary action. They respond because of a stimuli. When we eat food, our body has what we call peristalsis, and it moves the food along so that the body could actually get the nutrients, and then we could get the waste matter out and all the the liquid could go where they belong and all the organs could actually function. So movement is needed both internally and externally. The next one would be elimination. It is absolutely important to eliminate because, again, if you keep all the toxic matter into the body that really needs to be out of the body, what would happen is that we would end up being sick. And so elimination is a very, very important function. And I could tell you this, in my years of working with clients, I've had people come in and tell me that they haven't gone to the bathroom in 2 weeks. That, I mean, blew my mind. I couldn't understand how they could function for 2 weeks without having to go to the bathroom. One of my particular clients, she was a runner, so she was not overweight or anything like that. The only unusual thing that I saw, she had these very huge, she called them fatty tissue on her body, all over her body. And it's possible that the toxicity in her body just actually piled up in certain areas. But when she came, because I did abdominal work, she would actually be able to go to the bathroom. And the last one is rest or relaxation. Now, again, rest is, when we think about rest or when we talk about rest, we think about going to sleep, but that's not the only way to rest. You could actually rest by doing something that you don't normally do. For instance, I have incorporated since 2017 a half a day or a day that I take off from work and I play. Now, I'm not yet, this year, part of my goal is to get more physical activity into my day and my life, but in 2017, I decided to learn Mahjong. And I could tell you, when I first thought about it and taken a day off or half a day off, I had such guilt because I had programmed my brain that I have to work so that I could pay the bills and I could take care of this. And so play, and also another thing that influenced that decision or lack of decision was the fact that I was taught when I was a young adult that play was for children. And so I wasn't really allowed to play. Circumstances led to my being the oldest child in the house and having to take care of my siblings. So I had to be the responsible one. So play was not a thing that was open. Interestingly, my family and a lot in my country, we play cards, different games, and we have competitions and things like that. But it's really more of a gambling kind of thing to win money as opposed to have pleasure. So in 2017, it took me a little bit to really get comfortable with the idea of play and not having to work that day. But once I got comfortable with the idea, I look forward to that day when I would be off. It actually, I was so elated. The thing is that I would work hard all week, all the rest of the week, but that one day was like I was so excited to play. I look forward to it. And I was the first one there sometimes early before the group was ready to play. And I got really good at it because, again, pleasure is involved with it. So why am I saying all of these things? I want to talk a little bit today about journaling because that's how I got to recognizing that I needed to have play in my life. And pretty much most of the things that I have in my life now and the peace that I have came from journaling. I have had a traumatic childhood. There was sexual abuse. And then when I got to be an adult, there was physical domestic violence. So I can tell you emotionally, it was very, very tough. and having to be the